Welcome back to another Kray video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss any videos. And for people really into the Krays, join our private Facebook group, Krays Crime Lords of London, where you will find stuff probably unavailable anywhere else. We're an established group with a large membership, and best of all, we're friendly. The link is in the YouTube description section.
Hello, and welcome back. We ended the last part talking about the trial, and we carry on here with it again. One of the twins' firm, Scotch Jack Dixon, was hopelessly trapped by my legal representative and barrister, Desmond Vowden QC, only to be saved by the judge who excused his mistake. Dixon was adamant that he had been with me in a Mile End cafe owned by Terry Pellicci the morning after McVitie's murder. He claimed I had told him the twins had killed McVitie and that I knew all about it. Something bothered me about his testimony, apart from the fact that it was all a load of cobblers designed like hearts to plunge me deeper into the prosecution net. There was something else, something not right. I thought long and hard about it that night in my Brixton cell, and finally, it hit me. It was impossible for me to have been in the cafe with Dixon. It was impossible for anyone to have been in the cafe at all that day, because it wasn't open on Sundays. Again, my heart beat a little faster. Surely this was important. Surely a prosecution witness lying on oath was good for my case. Surely all that Dixon had said, whatever it was meant to imply, would have to be struck from the record, or the jury told to disregard it. In his cross-examination, Vowden let Dixon go on and on about his cafe conversation with me. Was it Sunday? Yes. Are you quite sure about that? Absolutely. Is there just a chance, a mere possibility, that you're mistaken? That it was another day? The Monday morning, perhaps? Not a chance, sir. It was a Sunday. I remember it clearly. Thank you, Mr. Dixon. That is all. Enter Terry Pellicci for the defense. Now, Mr. Pellicci, did Mr. Dixon and Mr. Kray come to your cafe? Yes, sir. I saw them together several times. Was one of those times Sunday, the 28th of October? No, sir. Are you quite certain of that, Mr. Pellicci? Yes, sir. How can you be so certain? The cafe isn't open on Sundays, sir. I haven't opened on a Sunday for 17 years. Thank you, Mr. Pellicci. That is all. Dixon's jaw dropped. There was a flurry of activity among the prosecution barristers, much hurried whispering and looks of surprise and consternation. Vowden sat down, the faintest look of satisfaction on his face. I fought to stop myself from grinning. It was a bombshell for the prosecution, all right. And then Mr. Justice Stevenson stepped in to save their blushes again. It is clear Mr. Dixon has made a mistake with the day of the meeting, he said. As it couldn't have been the Sunday, it must have been the Monday. And that was that. For although Vowden made the point over and over again, it was what the judge said that in the end made all the difference. Naturally, I was gutted. Although the lies were making the case against me look very black, and the judge, for some reason, seemed to have it in for me, I still clung to my strong belief in British justice. I had not disposed of a murdered man's body, so, come what may, I was not going to be found guilty of doing so. I consoled myself that it was still early days. There would be other ways in which the prosecution's liars could be exposed. One of these came in the shape of two honest men who ran a garage off Valence Road. Hart's version of events during the early hours of that Sunday morning could not be right, they told Vowden, because the minicar Hart said we drove in was parked in their garage all Saturday night and Sunday morning. They were not mistaken, they stressed, because the Mini had blocked some taxis and efforts had been made to trace the owner. To me, the men's joint evidence seemed manna from heaven, but apparently the police got wind of it and told them not to interfere. Despite the garage men's protests, they were not even allowed to appear in court. Even so, there were other holes in Hart's testimony that should have made the jury suspicious of his motives. On his own admission, he had been a witness to murder, yet I was supposed to have suddenly appeared on the scene and taken over. He said I made him stand by the Mini outside the Prince of Wales at 3 a.m. while I rang the bell and woke Foreman up. On one hand, he said he was too far away to hear all that was said, but on the other, he had no doubt that he heard me telling Foreman to get rid of the body. It did not add up. Hart claimed the Lambrianu brothers had taken McVitie's body from the house in Stoke Newington over the water to South London, but he and Hopwood said the brothers were not in Hopwood's house when I arrived. So how was I supposed to tell Foreman where the body was? Unless I'd driven around South London, found the Lambrianus and asked them, I would not have known. If I didn't know where the body was, how could I have disposed of it? It was a dreamlike experience, sitting there listening to people relating in sincere tones, as if butter wouldn't melt in their mouths, what I was supposed to have done. There seemed to be so many conflicting statements that I got totally confused and lost track of the plot. Most of the time, I found myself thinking, if only the twins hadn't told Harry Hopwood to ring me. If there hadn't been that phone call, none of this would have happened, and I wouldn't have been in the frame. But the fact that I had gone to the house gave the police and their witnesses the foundation on which to build their lies. In court, there was so much happening, so much to take in and concentrate on that I had little time to feel angry. But at night, alone in my cell in Brixton, my feelings would boil up and my insides would ache with fury, not only at the twins for roping me in so unnecessarily and thoughtlessly, but also at their short-sightedness and naivety so far as their damned blasted firm was concerned. Ronnie and Reggie had always attracted people and been surrounded by large groups who enjoyed their charisma, and they loved it, probably needing it to boost their own ideas of themselves as powerful leaders of men. But with one or two exceptions, the idiots who went around with them, hanging on their every word, were not worth 2 bob. The firm were physically tough, but not very bright characters with overblown ideas of their own importance. Having little ability themselves to make anything worthwhile of their lives, they settled for a grubby twilight existence, basking in the dubious reflected glory of the twins' reputation as fearless hard men, and grabbing the easy money that came from being their henchmen. Despite what Ronnie and Reggie believed then, or now, the firm revelled in the violence and wallowed in their roles as self-styled gangsters. In my lonely cell, I often conjured up pictures of that fateful evening in Evering Road. I knew enough of the firm's mentality to realise what had probably happened to prompt Ronnie to have McVitie brought to the flat from the Regency, and I would play the imagined scene over and over in my mind, a worthless exercise in masochism that served no purpose except to make me even angrier and more frustrated. Ron," I could hear one of them saying. "McVitie's in the Regency, mouthing off again. Says he's going to blow you and Reg away." If that had got no reaction, some bright spark, maybe even Ronnie Hart himself, would have stoked him up. "You're not going to stand for that, Ron, surely? You're not going to let him get away with that, are you?" Such was the mood at that gathering that Ronnie bit on the bait, telling the Lambrianu brothers to fetch McVitie, which they did, not from fear of Ronnie, as was suggested at the trial, but from a sadistic pleasure at witnessing a hated man's humiliation at the hands of a more powerful individual. No one will convince me that the firm that night didn't egg on the twins to sort out McVitie once and for all. If it was all Ronnie's idea, if they were worried for McVitie and wanted to spare him his ordeal, why didn't they just go to the Regency and tell him to make himself scarce? No one would have been the wiser if Chris or Tony Lambrianou had said, "Do us a favor and go, so we can say we didn't see you." As it was, they loved it all so much that they raced off to the Regency and gleefully brought McVitie back to meet a violent death. In the early hours, when my fury had cooled, the irony of my own situation would hit me. I had received a phone call after the event, which had implicated me. But if someone had rung me beforehand, it would never have happened, because I wouldn't have let it. Just as I had told Scotch Jack in the Starlight Club that he wasn't going to shoot Connie Whitehead, so I would have told the twins and the idiots around them that it was madness to wipe out McVitie. This is why no one even tried to suggest at the trial that I was at the party. If I had been, there would have been no murder. As it was, McVitie was lured to the flat and confronted with men in no mood for mercy. Reggie, out of his mind on drink and Valium, taunted him that he wasn't much of a man because he had thrown his wife out of a car, and that although he had had plenty to say about him and Ronnie, he wasn't so big now. Reggie pulled out a gun. He fired, but it didn't go off. McVitie tried to dive out of a window, but was pulled back in by the firm. Then there was a struggle, and Ronnie was holding McVitie, supposedly urging Reggie to kill him. And suddenly, Reggie had a knife in his hand and was plunging it into McVitie's throat, the drink and drugs transforming him into a mindless killer with no regard for his victim or for himself. Even today, I cannot take in that Reggie did that. Yes, he could be violent, but, unlike Ronnie, he had always held back. Much was made at the trial of Ronnie's alleged comment, "I've done mine, now you do yours." I do not know whether he did say it because neither twin will discuss it with me. They did not volunteer information at the time, and when I've brought it up since then, they can't understand why I'm interested in something that happened so long ago. They say, "What difference will it make if we tell you?" To me, it doesn't seem like the kind of thing Ronnie would have said. He'd always been more inclined to do things himself. One thing is certain, if Francis had not died, Reggie would not have committed that crime, spurred on by a death wish. If Francis had been alive and they were living a happy married life, with children perhaps, he would have been a different person. When guns had come on the scene, he would have thought it through and seen the sense in getting out. As it was, Francis met a tragic end, and Reggie lost all interest in life, becoming just like all the others. When those idiots who called themselves friends egged Ronnie on that Saturday night, the lethal cocktail of drinks and drugs helped Reggie enjoy it all as much as everyone else, and he was to pay the price. Despite all the prosecution lies, all the inadmissible evidence, and my own barrister's reluctance to put me on the witness stand, I still believe I would have been cleared, or at least received a far lighter sentence, had it not been for Melford Stevenson. Before the case, police and lawyers alike were saying that he was the worst possible choice for the men on trial, and I was to find this hard to dispute as the hearing went on and on. It was not just the words he used, it was his tone and mannerisms, his tut-tutting and sarcastic comments that were quite obviously designed to leave the jury in no doubt what he felt about a particular witness's evidence. The transcript of the hearing does not tell the full story. If it had been taped and filmed, one would be able to see how Stevenson swayed the evidence in the prosecution's favor and then meted out the unbelievably harsh sentences that appeased his pals in high places, but shocked nearly everyone else. The small things drove me and the twins mad. The way Stevenson treated our Aunt May, for instance. May had never been in a court in her life and was married to a man who had worked in the same company for 50 years and was so straight that he'd never even been given a parking ticket. She was a religious woman who went to church regularly, but Stevenson treated her abominably, with a total lack of respect just because she was speaking on behalf of the twins. In contrast, Ronnie Hart's girlfriend was treated like a lady by Stevenson. It really wound us up, but there was nothing we could do except sit there and take it. We took it for 39 days in which the smooth, efficient, well-rehearsed case against the twins, their firm, and me rolled on and on to its inevitable conclusion. Many days were filled with legal mumbo-jumbo, which I found hard to follow. Others were filled with stories of the twins' reign of terror, which I found equally hard to swallow. But there were moments of humor too, like Ronnie's comment when he was charged with being involved in the McVitie murder. Warned by Nipper Reid that anything he said would be taken down and might be used in evidence against him, Ronnie replied, "I presume that your presumptions are precisely incorrect, and that your sarcastic insinuations are too obnoxious to be appreciated." As he watched a fellow detective write it on the charge sheet, Ronnie added, "Bit hard to spell, that one, isn't it?" I'm not sure what the elaborately worded sentence meant, but Ronnie liked the sound of it as a child and had learned it parrot fashion. He said it to the police because he didn't give a damn. He was obviously philosophical. He always thought he'd get 30 years. His cheeky answer to the charge had to be read out at the Old Bailey, of course, and provided welcome light relief to the heaviness of the proceedings. I think the laughter in court even woke Ronnie up. If there was going to be any humor, even black humor, it was bound to come from Ronnie. And he made me smile one day when he more or less ordered the judge to let him give evidence after making it clear to the defense and prosecution counsels that he would not. Ian Barry, charged as an accessory in the blind beggar killing, had just stepped down from the witness box, and Ronnie suddenly said loudly, "I'm going to give evidence now." Some bigwig, probably the judge, told him it was most irregular. Ronnie had chosen not to testify and had instructed his counsel, Paul Wrightson, accordingly. That cut no ice whatsoever with Ronnie. "I can change my mind if I like," he said. "I want to give evidence, and I'm going to. It's my right." I couldn't help smiling at the turmoil he caused. Courts, naturally, have set rules of procedure, and officials don't like the protocol being upset. But Ronnie couldn't have cared less. Once he decided to do something, he usually did it. He got his way that day, and the court buzzed with expectancy as he took to the stand. Prosecution counsel, Kenneth Jones, a little Welshman, with a resounding Richard Burton-type voice that seemed too big for his body, couldn't believe his luck. He tore into Ronnie with relish, determined to goad him into losing his temper and, perhaps, betray signs of the violence that was an integral part of the prosecution case. Much to the eloquent Mr. Jones's chagrin, Ronnie was far from intimidated by his cultured tones and cunning approach. He was in the mood to antagonize everyone, and he matched Jones's skill with a cheeky arrogance. "Among your firm, you are known as the Colonel?" asked Mr. Jones. "I was a deserter from the army." "So how could I be a colonel?" Ronnie replied. "You gave money to charity?" asked Jones. "Is that a terrible thing?" Ronnie asked back. "There are stories that it might have been £10,000. Where did you get that money from?" "I don't think that matters," Ronnie countered. "I had it. That's all that matters." When that didn't seem to satisfy his interrogator, Ronnie shouted, "If you want to know, my father gambles for me. He's up there in the gallery, so ask him. I know nothing about gambling. So there's no point in asking me. I may have clubs, but I know nothing about gambling. The judge broke in to tell Ronnie not to shout, but Ronnie just said, "Why? I'm here to speak, and I'm answering." Jones went on, and finally, Ronnie had had enough. "Listen, you fat slob," he said, making me cringe. "You've been going on enough. You're Welsh, aren't you? Down the mines would have been a more fitting profession for you than being a prosecutor. I promise you that." Naturally, this attitude did not endear him to the judge or the jury, but Ronnie was convinced, as ever, that he was going to get 30 years, innocent or guilty, and he didn't care. It had just come into his head that he wanted to say something, so he said it. Something Ronnie did not say, however, despite my encouragement to do so, was what his so-called pals, particularly Hart and Albert Donahue, had got up to during the twins' so-called reign of terror. These two supposedly tough individuals loved the villainy. Late one night, they got drunk, forced their way into the Regency Club, and demanded £50 a week from the owner, Johnny Barry. The next day, having sobered up, they were worried and went to Ronnie to own up. He went spare, wanting to know why they had done that when the firm had a share in the club anyway. Hart and Donahue admitted they had made a mistake, but begged Ronnie to say he'd sent them round because Barry might get the police involved. Typically, Ronnie helped them. He told Barry he'd had the hump the previous night and had sent Hart and Donahue round. He said he was sorry and asked Barry to forget it. To my disappointment, Ronnie didn't tell that story in court, nor did he tell how Hart and Donahue went to Freddie Foreman's pub and tried to nip him for £25. When I asked him why he hadn't seized the chance to redress the balance that was swinging ever more heavily against us all, he said that nothing would ever make him sink as low as those rats. He had his principles, and he would stick to them. But I know he was sick to the stomach over a blatant lie Donahue told the police when he was trying to get himself off the hook in the McVitie case. During the meeting with Donahue and our solicitors, shortly after the arrests, Ronnie asked for the address of Donahue's mother, saying he wanted to send someone round with some money for her. It was a genuine offer of help, but when Donahue turned Queen's evidence, he twisted the story to put Ronnie in a bad light, claiming that Ronnie wanted the address because he was going to arrange for the old lady to be murdered. In those days, Ronnie seldom worried about anything, but that allegation hurt him. Set up an old woman to be wiped out? No way. Ronnie used to get the hump if anyone even swore in front of women, but when his chance came to hit back against Donahue, he still chose not to. I never found out whether that lie was Donahue's idea or the police's. Certainly, Nipper Reid and his team weren't fussy about the tactics they used to blacken our names and reputations. The disgraceful lie about Reggie and Connie Whitehead's son, for example, takes some beating. Reggie idolized Connie Whitehead's little boy, also named Connie, and used to take him to a boys' club to see Father Hetherington. When the balloon went up, Whitehead tried to get himself out of trouble by writing a letter to the police, saying that Reggie had threatened his wife and son. Our solicitor heard of the allegations and told the twins, but made them promise not to touch Whitehead. It was very hard for them, because Reggie had stayed with the Whiteheads and had done nothing but try to help them. Ronnie seemed even more wound up about the lie than Reggie, and when he saw Whitehead in jail, he said, "I see you wrote to old Bill and said that Reggie had threatened your wife and kid." Connie had no idea the twins knew, and he went white, fearing the worst. Ronnie would have broken Connie in half if he hadn't promised to tell the truth. Connie did admit in court that the police had made him say it, but as far as the twins and myself were concerned, That did not make things right. What sort of man agrees to utter such a lie to make things easier for himself? Thank you for listening. I hope you are enjoying hearing my story, and I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please join our Facebook group. It's called Krays Crime Lords of London. We're a friendly moderated group with over 1,000 Kray and other celebrated gangster videos available for view. There's also thousands of images in the photos sections. The link for the group is in the YouTube description section.